Welcome to Study Abroad Roadmap, your ultimate guide to exploring educational opportunities around the globe. Whether you are dreaming of studying in the Ivy Leagues, top European universities, or prestigious institutions in Asia, this series of videos will help you with all the insights, tips, and guidance you need to make your dreams a reality. Hi, I'm Anirudh Murarka, an ISB alumni and one of your guides on this exciting journey. So, on that note, let's begin with the very first episode of Study Abroad Roadmap. Today, we are diving into a very crucial aspect of your study abroad journey, the GMAT. If you are aiming for a top business school, understanding the GMAT is your very first step to success. On that note, let's break it down. So, what am I going to bore you with today? I'll talk something about GMAT. I'll probably talk some more things about GMAT. And in the end, I'll quickly discuss how I got a score of 740 in my exam. Let's begin. First things first, GMAT is conducted by this body, GMAC. There are 2,400 plus colleges that are affiliated with GMAC. So, if you want to apply to any of them, GMAC is whom you reach out to. Let's have a quick look at the paper pattern. What does the GMAT test look like? What does it test you on? So, there are a total of 3 things that GMAT tests you on. First thing is quantitative reasoning. You get your arithmetic questions over here. You get your algebra questions over here. One very good thing that has happened is GMAT has stopped asking questions from the geometry section once it moved from the classic edition to the focus edition. In this section, you will find 21 questions of problem solving. What are problem solving questions? We'll get to it in the later part of this video. For these 21 questions, you have 45 minutes to solve. Similarly, for verbal reasoning, there are 23 questions and again you get 45 minutes over here. You will find 2 types of questions here, critical reasoning and reading comprehension. And the third section is data insights, in which you will find questions on data sufficiency and integrated reasoning. In this section, there are 20 questions and again 45 minutes to solve them. Now, if I talk about the scoring, you will get a score of somewhere between 60 and 90. And if we look at the overall paper will consist of 64 questions and you have 135 minutes to solve them. Your overall score would be ranging between 205 and 80. Now, one very important thing to understand is you cannot skip any of these questions. What I'm trying to say is, if in these 45 minutes you are not able to solve these 21 questions, GMAT is going to penalize you heavily. So make sure that in these 45 minutes, you are able to complete all these 21 questions. So it is always said that it's okay to have a wrong question in GMAT rather than an unattempted one. All right. Now, these are 3 sections that we just talked about. So which section comes first? Which section comes second? And which comes third? That entire decision lies with you. You can choose the order in which the paper comes at you. If you want, the verbal reasoning can be the first section, the quant can be the second section, and the data insight section could be the third one. It is entirely up to you. So that kind of leeway, that kind of flexibility is what GMAT offers to you. Now, one important thing is you get an optional break of 10 minutes between any of the 2 sections. So what I'm trying to say is, after verbal reasoning, if you want to have a break, you can have, but then you cannot have a break after your quantitative reasoning section. Similarly, if you don't want your break after your first section gets over, you can take a break after your second section gets over. So you get one optional break of 10 minutes in the entire paper. So use that wisely. All right, moving ahead. Now this question might arise in your mind. Why should I take the GMAT? What is the advantage of giving the examination? So first thing, 9 out of 10 MBA students, the students who are going to pursue their MBA, who are currently in a B school, 9 out of 10 have gone in that particular B school after taking their GMAT. So that is one very important thing to consider. Next thing, the score is valid for 5 years. You take your GMAT right now and you can apply to a college after, let's say, 3 years, because your score is still going to be valid. So some of you might be in a college right now and would be thinking that, okay, let me gain a couple of years of experience and then I should pursue my MBA. That's absolutely okay. You can still take your GMAT right away and apply with that score 2 years later. So therefore, the validity of the GMAT score for 5 years is actually a very, very big advantage. One thing is the flexibility that it offers. We just discussed that you can choose the order in which the paper comes at you. The other flexibility that GMAT offers is you can take the GMAT any time of the year you want. But there's a cap to it. GMAT in one single year can only be attempted 5 times. So if you want to take the GMAT 6 times in a year, that is not possible. You can appear for the GMAT a maximum of 5 times in one single year. In fact, over your entire lifetime, you can take the GMAT a total of 8 times only. Right? So keep that in mind. If you are planning to take your GMAT, make sure that you are absolutely ready before booking your dates. The next thing is there are multiple management programs that you can apply to with your GMAT score. You are a college going student and want to go for an MIM. GMAT is the exam you go to. You are a working professional with a couple of years of experience. GMAT is the exam that you can go to and apply for an MBA. You have, let's say, 8 to 10 years of experience and you want to go for an executive MBA. GMAT is the examination that you can give. So therefore, there are multiple programs that you can opt for with your GMAT score. And the last one, which is my personal favorite, is GMAT is an adaptive paper. So we just talked about the paper pattern. These 21 questions that come at you and these 21 questions that will come at me are going to be totally different even if we appear for this examination on the same day. Why is that? Because GMAT is an adaptive paper. What do we mean by adaptive? So based on your response, the system is going to throw the next question in front of you. So if you get a question right, the next question is going to be slightly more challenging. You get that right, the next question is going to be slightly more challenging than that, right? If you get a question wrong, the level of difficulty goes down. So the paper that you will be solving would be totally different from the paper that I would be solving, even if we are taking the GMAT on the same day. So that is one very big advantage that GMAT has. It tests you. It actually finds out what your understanding of the subject is. All right. Now, let's talk some more things about GMAT. What would be the cost of taking this examination? So, I am talking very specifically to the Indian audience. The GMAT will be costing you $275, and there's going to be an 18% GST over it as well. So that comes out to be roughly $50. So you would be spending somewhere around $325 to book the GMAT. So yes, it's an expensive examination. So people who were wondering that I should take the GMAT 5 times a year is probably thinking about it again. All right. The next thing is, how do you send your scores? This is a very important thing. So please pay attention. There have been some changes that have happened once we have shifted from the classic edition to the focus edition. In the classic edition, even before you started your paper, you had to choose 5 programs in which you wanted to send your score. So even without knowing your actual score, you are supposed to select 5 programs in which you want to apply. This is what used to happen in the classic edition. Who does this? GMAT, the conducting body, does this, right? So you choose your 5 programs and GMAT would be sending your scores to them if you allow it, right? Now there has been some changes that have happened. As soon as your paper is complete, you get to know what your score is. But the official scorecard takes somewhere between 3 to 5 days to come out. It might take 20 days as well in some cases, but generally it comes out in 3 to 5 days. Now, once your official scorecard is out, then you choose your colleges, then you choose your programs you want to apply to. So this is one very big advantage that has happened for the students. If you are finding your score to be sufficient, you can send your scores to the colleges, you can send your scores to different programs. But if you don't find your score to be sufficient, you can always retake the examination. That is one very good thing that has happened in the focus edition, which was not present in the classic edition. So I'll quickly repeat. You choose 5 programs. GMAT will be sending your score to those 5 colleges, to those 5 programs free of cost. They won't be charging you a single penny. But if you are applying to those programs within 48 hours after getting your official scorecard, which generally takes 3 to 5 days, right? So you take your exam. After 3 to 5 days, you get your official score. And after getting your official score, within 48 hours, you have to choose those 5 programs. So GMAT will be sending those scores to those 5 programs free of cost. If you exceed this window, or if you want to apply to more programs, for every single program, GMAT would be charging you 35 US dollars. So make sure that you choose your 5 programs very, very smartly, because you don't want to gamble over there. All right. Next thing that has happened in GMAT, which has happened in the Focus edition, is the bookmark feature, which was not present in the Classic edition. So we just talked about the paper pattern, right? So there are these 21 questions. For each question, there will be an option for bookmarking. So there's a question and I'm not very sure whether I have done justice to it. You can always bookmark that question. You will still have to choose an option and then move on to the next one. But the question can still be bookmarked. How does that help you? Once you are done with all these 21 questions, and assuming you still have some time left out of these 45 minutes, what you can do is look at all the bookmarked questions and then go through it and probably, take a call whether I have done the correct steps or not. Now, how does that help you? It helps you because there is one more feature of changing answers that have been added in the Focus edition, right? So you have bookmarked a question, you have gone through the solving that you have done, and you want to change the response that, okay, I am not very happy with the answer that I have marked, I want to change my answer. So you have the option of changing the answer that you have marked. But there's again a cap to this. You can change your response a maximum of 3 times. So you want to use this liberty of changing your answer 3 times in the same question or 3 different questions, that's entirely up to you. But yes, 3 times GMAT will allow you to change your response. So that is one very good feature that has been added in the GMAT Focus edition. All right. Now we are going to talk about the different types of questions that you will find in your examination. So what are the questions that you will find? The first one is problem solving. This you will find in the quantitative reasoning section, where you had 21 questions to solve. There will be a question in front of you. You will have 5 options. You need to choose the correct one, click on submit and move on to the next one. Now, please don't expect this question to come in the examination. This is just an example. What next? You will find questions on data sufficiency. Where was this supposed to be found? In the data insights section. There is a question asked to you. There are 2 statements in front of you. You need to find out which statement or which statements or which combination of statements is going to help you find out the answer. Now, there are 5 options in front of you. You should actually give it a shot and let us know in the comment section as to what the correct answer is. What next? This is reading comprehension that you will find in the verbal reasoning section. There's an entire passage that would be in front of you. There will be again 5 options in front of you, and you need to find out which option is the correct one. Now, that passage could be based on historical events. That passage could be based on science, on technology, on economics, right? So you need to read that passage and answer the questions that have been asked to you. Next one would be critical reasoning. Now, there are several type of questions that you will find in critical reasoning: strengthening the argument, weakening the argument, assumption-based questions, etc. So, a passage would be given to you and a question would be asked to you, but this passage is going to be very, very short as compared to the passage that you will find in the reading comprehension. Again, you will have 5 options and you need to choose the correct one. All right. Now moving on to the last part as to how I got a score of 740 in my GMAT. So it was actually a very simple process. Let me walk you right through it. First things first is I decided my score range. I wanted to apply to ISB and I knew that the average score at ISB was somewhere around 700 during my year. So if I get some score of 730 or above, that would better my chances. So I had a range in my mind and that is what I started targeting. The next thing I did was decide my test date, because you have to respect the deadlines of the college as well. So for ISB round 2, the deadline was December. So I knew that I have to take my GMAT latest by November. So having a deadline in mind actually helps you structure the studies, right? All right. Now, the next thing that I did was obviously started to study. How did I study? I started finishing the entire concepts and started solving easy level questions from the official guide. Now, this is something that a lot of people make their errors in. They straight away start solving hard level questions. But do you remember that GMAT is an adaptive paper? If you are not able to get the easy and moderate level questions correct, how can you expect the system to throw a hard level question in front of you? So it's always advisable, start with an easy level question and then transition to moderate and then to hard level question. That will actually help you understand what are the different type of difficulties. All right. The next thing I did was have daily practice. I cannot emphasize more on this point. I have seen students who would rather study 14 hours on a Sunday than studying 2 hours on a daily basis. So, if you practice daily, it's actually going to work in your favor. What I did was every day I ensured that I have to solve 5 RCs. I ensured that I have to solve at least 5 questions of each type of critical reasoning. I ensured that every day I am solving at least 20 to 25 questions of quantitative reasoning. That daily practice is something you should target, and that is going to help you a lot. The next thing that I did was I kept a record of my mistakes. I cannot emphasize more on this point. If you don't know where you are going wrong, you are actually going to make the same mistakes again. So, keeping a record of mistakes that, okay, I made an error in critical reasoning and in strengthening the argument questions. So, keeping a record as to what went wrong for me was actually very beneficial. It helps you understand, it helps you revise during your last days, right? So, make sure that you are keeping a record of your mistakes. Now, the next thing and the final thing that I did was I made a schedule that, okay, there are these 6 official mocks that GMAT provides. These are as close to the actual GMAT as possible. So I decided a schedule that on this date I have to appear for my first mock. On this date I have to appear for my second mock, and so on. And I was sticking to it that I have to give my test on this date and I have to complete my entire analysis, right? So sticking to it was very, very important. And please use these 6 mocks religiously because these are as close to the actual GMAT as it gets. Now, what did I do 1 week before my test? Absolutely nothing. I was just analyzing the mistakes that I had made. I have seen hundreds of students making this error of trying to learn something new in the final weeks of your preparation. That is a very bad thing to do. You should not go for it. Whatever you have studied, try to analyze that, what was wrong for you, what was right for you, and make sure that you are sticking to it. Your GMAT is going to go absolutely fine. Please don't make this error of you know trying to learn something new in your final weeks of preparation. That is never going to work for you. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to let us know in the comment section. We are going to come with some such more videos. We would be talking about GRE. We are going to be talking about the admission process. So stay tuned. If you like this video, feel free to like this video and feel free to subscribe to our channel for more such insights. Thank you. This is Anirudh Murarka signing off.